Aloha everyone, it's Dan here. I'm with Doug and Jenna at the pharmacy, and there's been a lot of great changes around here. Thanks everyone for your support over the years. It was about 4 years ago I think I came here. My first place I ever lived on the island. You guys opened up the door, and then I introduced you to my people, and you guys have just been blowing up ever since. So I wanted to thank everyone for that, and I wanted to show you all the new stuff. So Doug, can you tell me what this new bed is here?
Sure. This is an ashwagandha bed. You can see about 20 or so ashwagandha plants that Jen is showing you right now, planted about a foot or two, about 2 feet apart, with marigolds interplanted between them, trying to give it as much diversity as possible. We're planting this for the most part for its root structure. It's known as the Indian ginseng. So it produces an extremely potent, valuable root to help with that calm energy. So known as the endurance herb. So really helping for late day energy, longevity.
Stamina, endurance, calm, balanced energy. That's what we're looking for. And this is renowned for that. It's known as the Indian ginseng as well. So
you
what's
can see
what's the intermixing of the plants for again?
So the marigold just provides that diversity. It's also gonna fix the nitrogen into the soil. It's really feels like the ideal plant. We're definitely experimenting with the ashwagandha, learning about how, what it likes, how much water it likes. As far as interplanting, we have a few other beds going on right now with different interplantings than this, but this actually seems to be what the ashwagandha is liking from the start the best. You can also see around it we have some chast, the soursop here. This is great, the soursop for weight loss. It's renowned as a anti-cancer herb. And
have you harvested any fruit from that tree yet?
We actually just use the leaves. So
for what we do, but you can harvest the fruit. The fruit's amazing.
Have you harvested any fruit off this particular tree?
Just a few.
Cakey, yeah.
Because wasn't this just planted like a year ago?
There is
you
some
come and
fruit
take a
on this.
look. It's seasonal, so right now they're coming. Here, check this out.
Oh, there it is.
You see
Beautiful.
these little guys? They look really
Awesome.
cool, and they can get really, really big, like something like that. And they have these amazing little, like, thorny looking outsides. They're not really sharp.
And
though.
they are heavenly. So have you guys, you've only had a couple, and were they good?
They were delicious.
Amazing.
Yeah, of course.
And so, but the idea, we do use the leaves, so we trim the plant down when we harvest it, so it doesn't really have a chance to fruit. And when it is fruiting, typically we have to kind of let it do its thing. So we let it fruit, and then we can't really trim the leaves.
Yeah, the fruit and the leaves are anti-cancer, but you keep everything really trimmed up, and that way it's more like a bush that's producing a lot more of
leaves.
the leaves.
Of the leaves, yeah.
Do you have any of the larger ashwagandha plants?
We do. We can see on the other side we have about 25-ish ashwagandha that we'll use to harvest between now and next spring. That are basically full. Some of them are full size, and others are kind of half size. We did have a challenge this year with all the water. So much rain. Ashwagandha seems to like more temperament.
Yeah, and now it's too dry.
And now it's really dry. So
Okay, so the ashwagandha is mostly for the roots?
all for the roots.
Oh, and what about the berries?
The berries we're just using to seed.
Okay.
So that's like our next crop. So yeah, it's really important you know where you get your ashwagandha from, because a lot of companies, they'll use the aerial parts of the plant as part of their offering.
Yeah.
And actually the medicine is in the root. It's really important that everybody knows that. The root is the actual medicine of the ashwagandha.
Awesome.
So,
okay, cool.
Right, so let's head over here. And what do we have? We have some comfrey here. We just trimmed back our comfrey because it is so dry. The comfrey's having a challenging time. One of our larger curry plants is up top. Jenna's going to grab some curry berry. But again, this plant we use for the leaf.
Beautiful berry offering.
So what, do the berries go into the herbs or just the leaves?
So here,
Do you
this
use
is
the berries
the
for
berries
anything?
you can eat. You can go ahead and try one. They're delicious.
Oh, I dropped it.
Go ahead. There's a seed or two inside. I'll open it for your viewers.
But they are
to
so
see.
good though.
So it's like this. Like you see that seed? So that, and then the skin
want
and
more
the
of those.
fruit. There you go.
I want
Are
all
they
the rest. Not
epic?
that, I want all those.
So they
They're
have
so
like
good.
more of like a sweet floral.
Yeah,
berry
but
flavor.
peppery a little bit, like really
Slightly. Everyone's palate's different.
hearty though, but just like a hearty, earthy deliciousness.
Big
God.
antioxidants. Yeah.
Huge antioxidants.
Dude, I'm gonna have me a mono meal here in a minute.
So more curry here. You see a few limes. We just trimmed this up this year. So the
So
limes.
we use the leaf. This is used and invaluable in our curry blend. And so this is going to be, we're going to talk about this a little later. This is something that I basically and Doug use in our diet every single day. This is great. It's got folic acid and vitamin A. So great for people with anemia. Awesome for many things, but we use it in a blend that helps with weight loss as well, and weight management, I should say, not weight loss, because not everybody needs to lose weight. Some people just need to manage it.
Yeah, well, it's also darn delicious.
Yeah,
It's
the curry
so,
blend's really
so
nice as
lovely.
a salad dressing. That's where we use it most, on avocados.
Yeah.
And so this is combined with ginger and turmeric and chili pepper and kaffir lime. And we used to have a kaffir lime here
We
that
moved
we
it. I
transplanted
went to
over
look for it
there.
too.
And
So-
the figs, can't forget those.
Yeah, the figs are
Any
happening.
medicinal use for those, or
We
just
haven't found them. Certainly, they're
Not
very
ripe yet, I
nourishing.
know.
That's almost ripe.
not so much with the leaves of any kind? Not that you've looked into the herbology?
We've been looking. We need to look further. If anyone has some information for us on the fig leaf, that would be great. But soon, hopefully, we probably have 8 fig trees. So maybe one day we'll have enough fruit to actually dry and put in one of the powders or put in
Yeah.
one of the edibles. So our
Awesome.
job, what we do here is use all the plants, mostly the aerial parts of the plant. You met the ashwagandha, the ginger, the turmeric, and then you just saw some comfrey. Those are the 4 roots we harvest. Everything else is aerial parts of the plant. So in herbalism, it allows for an extremely sustainable form of gardening because you are just harvesting the aerial parts of the plant, and then it gives it a chance for the plants just to grow back again. And you're not in this huge biomass exchange where you're having to bring on more soil,
Yeah.
and then you hand the person, your big fruits of your labor, and then you have to go and feed the soil again.
So you're really trying to keep as much of your compost and your amendments from the land here, the grass cuttings, or what else do you
So
use?
yeah, we've been since you've
amendments?
been here last. We actually started doing some vermiculture. So we have a worm colony that we've been growing, which is really awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so what we will do is take our grass clippings and then we kind of let them ferment, water them, and then feed that to our worms along with some Bailey spinach and some other. We have a worm garden that we feed them, and then the worms actually, what they do, their byproduct is the castings, which are super valuable to us. It's basically like black gold for our soil. So they're helping to compost the plant material for us in a much more timely and more efficient way. So we take those castings and we make them into bioavailable like manure. So we make our own fertilizers and our compost teas, and we add that into the batch. And that is what we're using to help our plants thrive.
You
and
pour that
nourish them.
as a water?
Yeah,
Yes.
we hand water all the plants and hand feed the
So you
plants.
use the castings and make a tea out of that?
Yeah, that worm tea is our
That's minerals and microbes from the worm's gut.
yeah, and then eventually we're adding worms throughout the gardens. We're a year and a half into our vermiculture
I
program.
see. And so you're tossing worms in as well?
yeah, which
Absolutely.
they're aerating the soil and
Nice.
also, pooping the castings out and adding that and they're breaking down any plants that fall onto the soil faster and more efficiently.
Excellent, man. Sounds really
Yeah,
good.
so it's kind of like a little harmonious ecosystem, and we are using matter from the land to feed the land, and the land is helping to feed us. So it's this wonderful synergy of this wholesomeness.
We do bring a lot of mulch onto the farm, so tree trimmers. It's a huge value on Kauai. I mean, the trees grow so fast, and it's always an issue with other lands that they have these trees that they want to take down. So if there is, for the most part, we're closed loop, which when they talk about organic, it's next level organic is this closed loop feature where you're kind of using all the produce or the food from the farm in order to feed the farm. And so it's this closed loop system where you're not worrying about certified organic and who's bringing in what. But we do bring in mulch from tree trimmers that
Which
we know where they
obviously
come
organic wild coconut
That's
trees
right.
mostly, right?
That's right.
Absolutely,
We're
you
bringing
got
in
it.
what we know.
And then that's kind of like the matter that decays into new and more vital soil for the worms and the microorganisms to live
Yeah,
off
it's a
of.
great. It's well today on this really hot day, and we haven't had
If
so
you
much.
look at-
It's awesome when it's raining. It's good for like water retention and drainage as well away from the.
I mean,
plants.
this has been a compost pile, or I should say mulch pile, for quite some time.
I mean, that's black
and
gold. That's like
what's under it is
rich.
going to be,
You see that?
broken down mulch. It does need nitrogen. I mean, what we're trying to sell here and provide to all of you is this iron, calcium, potassium, nitrogen rich, right? So that's
Which is missing in the plants, so the medicines don't have the alkaloids and the minerals on the mainland and the mass farming, so everyone's getting depleted in the minerals. And so this is a huge blessing, because what you guys are doing is what everyone on planet Earth should be doing if we're gonna be sane and make it through this. So this is a really good, you guys are definitely growing too, and I've been picking up on a lot of the stuff you're sharing with me today. I've been doing small amounts of gardening and just talking with everyone and research on the internet. It's all about the soil.
Yeah,
Yes.
and certainly, as you drink our tea or other fresh tea, like you're at the farmer's market, if you could buy herbs, or your neighbor might be able to provide some herbs for you, your senses are going to raise to your environment. It's just inevitable that as you use and consume fresh plants, that you get on this path of wanting more, and you get on this path of taking care of that feeds you, right? So inevitably, we're all kind of doing this because we become more conscious with what is going to heal us.
I think the information from the plants awakens old codes in your brain, in your consciousness, and reconnects you back to the earth.
And
More
that's-
than a ding dong or
and that's
Doritos.
not what's in the supplements. That information is what's missing in so many of the supplements today, because
Unless they're like whole food herbal
whole
supplements.
food, live, fresh is key. I mean,
Yeah.
our stuff's being
Yes,
sent
fresh for
within a
potency.
week or two of when it's in the gardens. That's key. People say, "Oh, why does your tea taste so good?" And it's like they've never tasted fresh tea in their entire life. And that was one of the things that kind of resonated with me was, wow, this drinking fresh lemon balm is delicious.
Sure
and that's
is.
an herb they can grow. You can grow on the mainland. Using aloe in your homes. Having it indoors just in case there's burns, or even consuming it for that.
We should
female-
all be growing our own herbs as much as we can.
whatever we can.
Yeah.
Whatever we
Yes.
can. Even just
Fresh
breathing.
is best.
Yeah,
If
breathing
you
it.
can't do it because of the climate that you live in, if it's like cold weather season or in a big city and you don't have land or anything like that, you can even just have household pots right next to your kitchen sink, just in case of that moment. Okay, oh ouch, I cut myself or I burnt myself. You have the aloe right there, like Doug said. So, and just to touch on what you just said, Dan, about like, it's what's in the soil. Like, yes, that is exactly it. It's like everyone says, oh, you are what you eat, but really you are what your soil eats. You are what your food eats. So if you know what is going into the soil, that is what's going to build your immune system in your body. So really, really key to just kind of like take it that next level, like just look beyond, the surface level of what's on your plate and think, oh, well, what actually was the inputs that created their life that I'm now being able to ingest and thrive off of. Very, very critical.
Well, there's one kind of kale from one soil over here, and that's grown in synthetic chemical fertilizers, which looks like a piece of kale because there's enough nitrogen, but then it's missing untold amounts of microscopic information, energy, microbes, and nutrients.
Yeah, when we talk about information, we're not necessarily talking about, what vitamin or mineral does it have? But we're talking about self-awareness, intuition, willpower. That's the information these plants are able to convey to us. And it's information that if there's blockages in the body, these plants break up those blockages, and then they're able to feed those vitamins and minerals to ignite that self-awareness, ignite that willpower. That's all kind of blocked up, those.
I just made a post about that yesterday, and that's why the hot tea, or just cold tea or any
iced
tea,
tea, yeah.
just to wash away the blockages from our modern diet and lifestyle.
So let's keep rolling.
Absolutely.
Just pointing out a little bit of moringa. This is an important plant throughout Southeast Asia, also in Africa, becoming part of our American culture now. I know they're growing a lot of it in Southern California. big for it's in a plant-based diet. You know, people talk about how do you get your protein out of a plant-based diet, but
It's like the number one question.
if you truly have a plant-based diet, if your protein is potent, you know, it's not that important to have so much of it. It's when you're eating meat and then you try and eat some protein like this that it gets diluted down, and you have all these carcinogens in the body that aren't able to be affected by a little bit of protein. This is potent protein on a plant-based diet. It's also got calcium, potassium. You could live off this plant.
So the absorbability of the amino acids and the concentration
And this plant
On
pound
a
per
plant-based
pound,
diet, yes.
is important.
this
I'm
has
very
all
well
the
aware.
essential amino acids you need to live. This is a survival plant, so this is an excellent one that you bring that up, Dan, because this pound for pound, like Doug said, has more efficiently absorbed protein and more efficiently absorbed iron. So breaking down a piece of meat, okay, like a steak, I mean, what does that do? What does it do to your whole digestive tract, and how hard is it to break that down just to try to absorb the little protein? Really, at the end of the day, you're just trying to get to the protein that cow ate, which is where it goes back to you are what your food eats, okay? So hopefully the cow's eating that and not some other
So
cereal or
it's
corn or
secondary, you know?
so this
right,
is more
secondary.
efficiently absorbed. This is straight from the source. You have moringa, which is going to have that direct influence as far as going directly into your body, to your digestive tract, through your portal and your gums, to your bloodstream. Now we're talking iron. Now we're talking energy. Now we're talking about sustainable, you know, maximizing your protein so that you can have that energy throughout the day. You don't tax your adrenals. All of that's like key just to understanding like plant-based protein, you know, carnivore protein.
It was all plant-based protein at one time.
Exactly.
So I
And
cut
those
out
are
the
eating it.
middleman and I cut out the suffering myself personally. I don't try to give anyone a hard time because not everyone's got the quality and the highly concentrated epic foods that we have here, but we should, if we all created a demand, we could change the world, you know?
It certainly is a lot about economics, you know, of supporting those things that can help create jobs and help create economics for people to move into these areas.
If we create the
of taking
demand,
care of
someone will make up for
Yep.
the supply.
taking care of plants. I mean, that's the
Plants,
demand.
trees.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 5-hour video if we haven't
So
even
let's-
gotten to the garden yet.
Let's keep rolling. We'll touch on lilikoi. We don't have any flowers, so we use a passion flower that is harvested off of this lilikoi
We already
vine.
did the harvest.
But if
before
you give an
got here.
idea of the power of that
the
flower,
fine
it turns into that lilikoi fruit. It's called a giant lilikoi fruit. And we have a big, so we harvest the flower before it turns into this lilikoi fruit. It's a
is
purple and white
amazing.
flower. It's, we love to photograph it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
The flower, yeah.
The flower, yeah. And we have it, we make a tincture out of it, and we also have it as our kind of most important ingredient in our tranquility. And that's a tea with lemon balm and tulsi, and it's really calming. Helps with restoration. You know, when we talk about rest and anxiety or sleep, really it's learning about restoration, learning what does the body good to restore itself, as opposed to getting all anxious about I can't sleep, getting all anxious about your nervous system. Really focus on what you can do to restore yourself. And this plant helps you slow everything down, slow the mind down, allow the mind to really get control over the body like it needs to be, and again, do the things that we need to do to restore. So, like, you know, all of our products, they do take time. It is a lifestyle, and it needs to be integrated. This is one, the Tranquility is one that you've integrated into your lifestyle. I think it's one that, you know, cup from time to time or every night. I mean, it's just really helps for restorative.
Tranquility?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Next level for sure.
So, what else are we doing here? We got some Bailey spinach or Polynesian spinach.
The botanical name is Albamosis manahot. And here's one of those other excellence, bioavailable iron, right here in this awesome chlorophyll-based plant. It's a tree spinach. And if you notice, because Dan just ate some of it, there's a little mucilaginous texture to it. That's essential to helping to coat our mucous membranes, and it's a neuroprotective. So this is a beautiful, beautiful example of a demulcent which is going to really, mahalo nui loa. We always say thank you for the plant harvest. And you could just see that. It's just alive.
You know that's medicine. I can feel it in my
is.
mouth.
And there's a reason why we actually, when we cure this in our solar dehydrators, we inoculate this into many of our tea blends. So you think, oh, spinach, it's good in our superfood spices, but it's essential for everybody. So being able to put this lovely leaf into teas as well is another way that we can all consume it.
They make great wraps too.
They do make great
Raw
wraps.
food wraps.
And great Bailey chips. That's how I make them for my kids.
Like kale chips?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Never had that yet.
Oh, they're
What do you got?
amazing.
One pod here?
Not looking too good right now.
No.
It's not season. That's
It's not
last
in the
year's-
season. We'll keep
That's
the.
last year's cacao.
I see.
But we also had that big windstorm that took all our cacao leaves. So
This is the result of our being wind
yeah.
stripped. It's not very happy.
But
so
it'll be okay.
We're gonna revive it.
It'll bounce back.
we have some allspice
It's the only
here.
casualty. So
So this is was just in flower, and now it will turn into berry. You're seeing the beginnings of these berries here happening. This is we use both the berries and the leaves in our teas and superfoods. We have probably 5 allspice trees on the farm. Just to give you some background, allspice, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, all originally from the Spice Islands, really economically clove, economically nutmeg, really powerful, kind of what started the world of capitalism as we know it, global capitalism, from the Spice Islands, the British tea and Indian Tea and Spice Company, right? Coming into the Spice Islands in Indonesia. And
This was one of them?
this was one of them. This is what Columbus thought he had. He was told to come back.
He found it in Jamaica.
Right.
And he thought that he had found, because these berries right now, you can see them right now, they're still infant, but when they turn to maturity, they look like black peppercorns. And so when he found it, he had thought he found pepper. And so they came back and they brought it back and they called it, they were like, oh, it's not pepper. And they ended up calling it Jamaican pepper for a length of time. And then when they tasted it, it tasted like clove, nutmeg, and cinnamon mixed together, so they decided to name it allspice.
Oh.
And that's how it came to be. So the Spaniards really stumbled upon this and named it, and they learned that this was actually more, like Doug said, it was medicinal first, and then it became culinary second. So it was helping with ailments from the plague. And so what they were trying to do is integrate this into different culinary cuisines, getting it to the kids. Same thing like happened with ginger, right? With the gingerbread houses, right? So these were all sought after for their medicinal value first, and their culinary spice seasoning secondary. So obviously they go hand in hand. We're consuming them for health and vibrancy. So.
And to give you an idea, the value is that Columbus, the story that I read, to get the pepper, he took 250 men with him to the Spice Islands and came back, I think it was like 16 months later, with 100 some odd men. So he had lost over half his crew.
Wow.
And he went out again to go get it. I mean, the plague was rampant in Europe. And this, along with the Mediterranean herbs that they could grow, but herbs that they grew in Indonesia was to them the cure. So the white man was moving into Indonesia to try and bring those north, right? Because the plague was so rampant, and my guess is their diets were horrible at the time. And as a result, this was the only thing that, the ginger was so sought after, and they were dropping gold on Indonesia, on the Spice Islands, and in the Spice Islands, they didn't know what to do. What am I gonna do with this heavy yellow stuff, right? They didn't want to take it. So they ended up creating this corporation, if you will, and taking over the Spice Islands, basically.
What do you use the allspice for?
So
What
the
blends?
allspice is in our love potion and our endurance, and also in our chai tea. Creates a chai flavor for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
quite
Also
lovely.
antifungal, antibacterial.
Has antiseptic properties. There's a compound in it called eugenol, and eugenol is like that kind of little numbing sensation. They use it in dentistry when they extract it so that you can have dental work. Hopefully no one has to have that. And in Mayan cultures, because we talked about the European past, but in Mayan cultures and in a lot of tribal culture, they actually use this for meat preservation. So they would actually use it because it has a curing aspect to it. Also because of that antifungal, antibacterial, antiseptic. Now, aside from that being a meat-eating culture, okay, why is that important for plant-based diet? it's important because it's going to keep our bodies healthy of infection and bad bacteria. When anything, I mean, we can still, as plant-based, take in acids, so we still have to neutralize it. So this is an excellent plant in order to do that.
And it's a good example also of this permaculture herbalism approach, where the plants that we grow actually create the immune system in the gardens. And this is why we don't have to use pesticides, because one, we plant in diverse garden settings, and the pests come in, and we have allspice here naturally growing as a natural pesticide.
Just
Right.
through the natural emanations of the plant, the oils.
That's right. The
got
same thing it's doing in your body, it's doing in the gardens. So and you
So it's fending off all the bad bacteria, all the intestinal parasites,
Which
worms. anything
formula
of that.
has the most amount of allspice in it?
I would say the endurance.
well, we
and
also
the
just made a honey.
lactation.
We also
Oh.
just created 4 honeys, and one of the honeys is an allspice honey, and you
Oh,
could use.
so that's the medicine. That's probably the best
That's
way.
the highest antibiotic
Yeah.
that we have.
Wow.
I would put that up there. We also do a couple of other herbal infused honeys at the moment. But yeah, allspice is an excellent example of like powerful medicine for sure.
Awesome.
And you could also
That
use
tastes
it
delicious.
externally as well. Pineapple sage here, big Peruvian medicine, kind of their holy basil of that culture. It's a nervine, a very special nervine. Again, helping with self-awareness, but helping calm
and
the
this is the-
digestion.
It's actually in the mint family, even though it's called sage, pineapple sage, and it has a quite a distinct flavor cross between a pineapple and a sage. So if you put a pineapple and a sage in your mouth, it would have a little bit of that that hidden for you on your palate.
Just starting to bloom, it looks like, with the flowers.
Actually, we just harvested it. This
Oh,
was
okay.
covered
I see.
in these flowers. We leave a couple. We always leave flowers for the bees.
Yeah.
It's
But
very
these-
important to thank the bees and not take all of their food for our food. Otherwise, there'll be imbalances, and then no one will have food. The bees are some of our biggest critical players here.
Yeah.
And
So moving on to the Tulsi, the holy basil, a very important plant on the farm. This was the first plant that we planted here. It's probably in every one of our teas. We've done some previous videos on this plant, Dan, right? Together.
Oh, yeah.
Calming of digestion, calming of respiratory. In India, this plant is in all the homes or planted around the homes. So Ayurvedic medicine may be the most important plant, definitely prayed to in Hinduism. So again, calming of digestion, the elixir of life. For me,
It really tastes like that.
yeah.
there's
It
all
feels
different
like that
flavors. We
in my
have,
lungs.
We have Amrita, Vana, we have Krishna, which is super. It's probably the most medicinally potent of the Tulsis. Yeah, we have the Indian and the African variety of the Vana. We have Kapoor. So when we say Tulsi on any of our teas, which is basically we have to acknowledge that Tulsi it's such a holistic adaptogenic herb that it is in pretty much everything that we do. So across the board, I would say it's in every one of our teas. We like to incorporate it into our superfood powders. We do make tincture and stuff and hydrosol as well. But the point is that when you see Tulsi on anything that we do, it's not one-dimensional. There's so many different varieties that we grow here. And like I mentioned the bees before, constant cross-pollination. So we'll get like
Yeah.
a lemon basil with a Krishna with a Rama that will end up tasting like bubblegum flavored
Ecstasy.
Tulsi, which the herbalists in the kitchen love because it makes our teas taste delicious. So yeah. So
How
just
many different
a lot of
types
depth.
do you have of
So
Tulsi?
there's 4 main types that have crossed into countless numbers.
Oh, okay, cool. So
And then this is
infinite.
what we'll harvest here. So we'll harvest the tips and these leaves. This is what you were doing this morning with us, right? Picking
Yeah.
the leaves off.
So
and
I
then
call it popping the tops. You take it when it's just about to
go
bloom,
to flower.
and you pop the top.
And then when you
Mahogany.
take the flowers off and stuff, that keeps it growing and kind of keeps it as a bush again.
Yes.
So every time you pop the top, it's going to branch into 2. So if you pop the top right where I did that, it will now branch into a fork. And then those will become blooms.
So
That is
this-
so delicious.
So good.
Yeah. This is the herb that they feed to both the children and adults as well as the elders alike. 1 billion people in the world pray to this plant, so it's really important. All of Hinduism, it's kind of they're one plant. Not to rank the plants or put one in front of the other, because there's so
Well,
many
there's a
great
reason
ones.
why, and you can taste it and you can feel it. It's balanced.
Well,
It's
that's the
got
thing. Yeah, it's not
both
too
sides
potent.
of the medicine. You can
So
feel
here's
it.
where that anti-stress factor comes in, right? And that anxiety relief. It's because it is bringing awareness to your breath. It's helping to just center your sensory system, which is what is also known as the nervous system, but there's no reason to be nervous. So we like to call that our sensory system, because it has all that capability of bringing that balance and that equilibrium. This is part of our tranquility and as well
This is so
as
good
our
for
calming
the-
blends.
And
So good for, you can just feel it.
So for me on the Tulsi, the self-awareness was what kind of hit me as step one in our healing process. Like I was at a point 7-8 years ago where I was looking for some change to happen, but didn't know what was going to support me, and this plant really stepped in. So the self-awareness, tuning into what I was eating, what I was drinking, my rests, what was coming out of my mouth, what I was speaking, it was like a shift, and I really feel that this plant helped me with that self-awareness, knowing when I was cold, knowing when I was hot, and then addressing it, doing something about it. So again, that's the willpower component, which actually leads me to where we want to go next, which is the roots. So let's talk turmeric.
I'm just going to
next.
mention one more thing on the Tulsi, is that it's a really excellent antihistamine as well. So great for like colds, great for breaking up sinus matter, and also an amazing topical. So this is an antihistamine for bee stings, bug bites. We make this, we put this in the base of our salves. We have some healing botanical body butters as well. So yeah, really don't underestimate the power of topical versus internal. They're both very, very essential.
But but this works well for the respiratory
Epic
jump
for the
and
respiratory.
and the hay fever and the pollen.
Exactly, breaking it all
Yeah.
up, making sure that your mucous membranes are clear, everything like your bronchi, everything like
But
that.
again, and
Got
that
it.
self-awareness too, so that you realize that if you're drinking dairy and there's mucus in there and you bring it all together, it's not this confused state where you say, I got pneumonia, right? And there's a disease attached to it. Rather, these herbs help you resonate with what got you here. You know, maybe it was you know, the binge eating, or maybe it was the late nights, too much technology, whatever it is. It allows you to really tie that in. So instead of playing the victim, right, which is what I've done in the past, and I probably still do often, but I try not to, and that's, you know, appreciating that it's typically what you eat, it's typically your actions, and you're responsible for those actions. And this herb really resonates with that awareness, that self-awareness, really tapping into that self-awareness. So when it talks about the antihistamine, well, it's probably what air you're breathing, or it's probably what environment you're going into. So if you could shift that, or if you could make some different food.
As I say, or don't eat that dish
Yeah,
that
then
you
you-
just ate that is creating all of that congestion.
Because the plants
and
aren't,
having that connection to what you just did to how you feel. And that's what I feel is most profound about this particular plant.
and
is
that's
that
the
it taps
magic.
you in.
That's the magic of the herbs, is it's giving you the energy, it's giving you the willpower, you the intuition that you were born with to come alive and make choices for yourself. And again, not allow someone else to make your health choices.
Plants wake you up.
They wake you up. And the more diversity of those plants, which is what's in a diverse garden, and maybe it's your neighbors and maybe it's your farmers, the more diversity you can get from your gardens, the more diversity of vitamins and minerals you can put in your system, the more tools that were lying dormant that will awaken as a result, that were otherwise lying dormant. Because you have them, we all have them in our bodies. For me, they were dormant throughout my 20s and 30s. They were going dormant in my teens, certain senses, but I'm waking them up now as those vitamins and minerals are coming back into my body, and I'm using these herbs for this reason.
Regeneration.
Regeneration.
Life regeneration.
Come, let's go talk
Amen,
roots.
baby.
So this is a delicious cranberry hibiscus. We hope to have it in our children's wellness next week. As you'll realize as we're talking, we have plants that are seasonal. We have plants that flower certain times that don't other times. We're going to meet the chas plant in a little bit. That's one that's coming to flower now. So we're a little light on our women's wellness, which is our hormone balancing tea. This is a herb that goes into our children's wellness, also in our cranberry hibiscus.
And our women's wellness.
And our
It's
women's
a great blood builder, excellent vitamin C.
And it goes big in the summer, so we're able to come back with our children's wellness in the summer.
And just likewise to the edible hibiscus, the tree spinach that we just had a moment ago. Dan, you'll taste that there's like a little mucilaginous texture to that. This too is in that hibiscus family, so it is a demulcent, and it has that wonderful protection for all of our inner membranes. So,
And this is my favorite plant in the whole garden.
I know. I remember last time you came here.
I can't, once I take a bite, I can't stop. So good, and that's how it is. And a couple of times I've been full.
Yeah.
I think somebody said, hey, you're eating all our plants.
That's all.
I had to calm down. Now there's a lot more cranberry hibiscus than I remember, right?
Yes, there is a lot more cranberry hibiscus. I think I'm going to...
You can just show how it's coming out of the ground.
Here's some turmeric here. It's not really the season for turmeric. As you can see, the aerial parts of the plant are happening. So the root, all the medicine is really going into the aerial parts of the plant, and the roots kind of laying relatively dormant. It's not as medicinal as it would be in the winter, but still medicinal. This is your anti-inflammatory herb. This is your herb for immune system building. It's, again, in most of our teas and superfoods. We have probably 400 pounds growing on the farm. You can see in India they use it externally for their immune system. They use it as a makeup.
Kumkum. It is damn delicious.
So, oh look, it's almost in the shape
take
of a
some of
heart.
that.
So this is a compound called curcumin. And curcumin is, do you see that beautiful vibrant pigment? And this is the responsible agent for helping with inflammation and circulation, heart health, cardiovascular. This is what I think the majority of people need to understand. Like, oh, everyone's like, oh, I want to lose weight, or, you know, I have this water retention, and it's like, actually, it's just blockages, and you need to circulate the area. And the way that you do that is using a plant like this, which is in the ginger family, and it's highly circulatory, and it has this wonderful compound, and it's packed with antioxidants. But this is what's going to cause that inflammation. So it's going to bring the inflammation down. It's going to create circulation and flow. Okay, it's going to break up calcified matter in your body, and you'll detoxify it. And as long as you drink a lot of water, good reputable water hopefully, then you'll have a very clean cleansing experience, very gentle. And that's what we're really looking for, is just having that balance between the medicine we eat, food as medicine, right? Hippocrates, not to be so cliche, but it's accurate. And then hydrating ourselves. And then if we could throw a third component into that, that would be rest. And therefore we talked about herbs like lilac passion flower. These are going to help Tulsi calm us, and they're going to calm our breath. They're going to help us with restorative sleep, quenching anxiety, creating like a muscle relaxation in our body. So all these herbs, they work together in the garden, permaculture wise, for our gardening practices, but they work even better in our bodies. So where the sleep is going to help us with the energy the next day, the energy is going to allow us to make conscious cognitive decisions that are going to help to create more alkalinity in our body. The alkalinity is going to lead to choices that are going to create more circulation. The circulation is going to reduce inflammation and blockages, and it will help to create a really healthy, perpetual, cyclical energy within us, because we're all electricity at the end of the day. We're just one circuit. So we want to keep that circuit clear so that we can have a lot of flow in our chi and our energy.
So you guys have created a pharmacy that has everything that you need to stay healthy. So it's safe to say I'm gonna recommend it. Just from listening to that, I thought I need to tell my people that are watching this to get some of your teas and use them every day, because it's medicine.
Yeah, and it's going to help you go find the other things in your life that will support you. So, you know what I always say, it's a base of alkalinity, you know, and it gives you a foundation to work off of.
It'll wake you up.
It'll wake you up. And then you go out and eat your fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds, and you go out and find your healers, and you go do the things you need to do to take care of yourself. And that base, that foundation gets built over time. So, you know, yes, using this pharmacy is a potent source of that alkalinity. Getting herbs from your local farmer's market, growing your own, getting your neighbor's herbs, sourcing that alkalinity is your responsibility, and we're here to do that. But again, it's a lifestyle.
Yes.
So whether you take a sip a day, or you take a cup a day, or you pound a half gallon a day, it's a lifestyle. So that's the key. Just like, anything you do in your life takes discipline, and I mean the good kind of discipline, the discipline that feeds you.
The daily juicing habit is my thing that I recommend to everyone, and you guys are recommending the daily tea habit, which is something like maybe the juices in the summer, and then when it's cold and you're up in Minnesota and you're freezing, and you don't really want to go back to cooked foods, which most everyone does, but tea is what kept me able to, when I was in Seattle and when I was in all these cold places, Oregon, and it's freezing, and I would use tea so I could stay raw, so technically I can consider a steeped tea to be raw.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing to mention to your following, because you have a very large raw vegan following. Likewise, we cure everything at less than 110 degrees in our solar dehydrators, and we're very aware that the lower the temperature that you can cure herbs for a loose leaf tea perhaps, or a superfood powder, or any other healing modality, like Doug said, we're just creating the tools. How you integrate them into your lifestyle is up to you, but we do it at a low temperature over a period of time. So it's that slow curing, low temperature that creates and constitutes a high vibrant, high potent, fresh herbal raw tea.
Preservation of nutrients.
And if you wanted to, you could use the superfoods and just put them directly in, which have just been cured, and then you're not brewing the tea.
Yeah.
So you're not heating the water.
Or using the savory blend or the curry powder.
Right into your food.
Yeah, bam.
So there's other ways to integrate it in. I think the only thing I would add to your point about the juicing is the diversity. Again, if you're juicing celery, which I love, or you're juicing kale, or you're juicing lime or lemon, I'm a proponent of drinking all that juice. But how do you get the diversity? How do you get the color? How do you get the curcumin? How do you get these other minerals and vitamins into your diet? And the more diverse your vitamin and mineral base is, the stronger your immune system is. That's both in the gardens I mentioned before, and also in your system. So that's the only thing I would add to that lifestyle component.
Awesome, dude.
Cool.
So it's a matter of juicing, detoxing, and shedding the things that are not serving you, while attracting the things that are going to alkalize you and support you in your lifestyle.
I think the diversity is important of the plants. They've shown that that's one of the ways that keeps the microbiome healthy, is the diversity of plants throughout the year, not just at one time. You don't eat like 100 plants at once. That's an awfully busy salad, but throughout the course of the year, you use nature's gifts to keep yourself in tune with nature. And that's why I like your guys' teas, because it's always seasonal, and if you run out of something, you just don't have it. And then, your customers and stuff, they get whatever is in season, and that keeps them in tune. And it keeps you guys in tune, and it keeps this whole farm in tune.
And it's also a matter of time and convenience, right? Because a lot of people will say, well, I don't have time to juice, or I don't have time to brew tea. Like, it's easy for you guys to say you live on a tea farm, or, So what I'll say to that is, it's as simple as taking like our curry blend powder. Even though we have a tea farm, we don't always have the time to drink tea. We have children and we have other things going on in our lives. So we'll just take our curry blend, we'll sprinkle it in with a little fresh squeezed lime juice on a basic salad. And now we've just gotten 7 diverse plants into our salad, which we didn't have before. So there's all that vitamins and minerals, and all I had to do is go like this, take a pinch and add it to my salad dressing.
And it's delicious.
So very simple things that you can do even when you don't have the time.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, a tea should be something that's not that difficult. It does take about, 30 minutes in a jar to brew, and then it's cool enough. Yeah, and then what you can do though is toss it in the fridge. You can just pour the boiling water, which is 4 minutes with one of those electric things. You pour the water over the tea, then you can just throw it in the fridge and come back in the hot time of year with the tranquility for an iced tea. Or if you want to let it cool for about 30 minutes in your jar while it's brewing, then you can, it'll be there when.
So I should share one more
Right.
thing. So we don't want to boil the herbs. A lot of companies, they want you to boil the loose leaf tea. A lot of the reason is because of the way they grow it and fertilizers and whatever other pesticides might be in there, so they're trying to have you cook it off. For us, we're going to recommend that you bring your water to temperature, let it settle so it's no longer boiling, and then you can pour it over the loose leaf herbs. And this way, you're keeping all of that integrity of the plant. You're not cooking that off. So I'm sure Dan talks about this a lot, about when you raise the temperature, when it's either with fruits, veggies, whatever it is, herbs are the same. You're going to end up cooking vital essential minerals and all that lovely, awesome enzymes and everything that you want to eat that for, to consume that for. You're going to end up cooking it off. So yeah, just make sure that your water comes down to temperature, then you add it, and then it's really just a matter of your steeping time.
You can do sun teas, you can do
Sun
cold
teas,
brews
moon teas.
also.
Certainly the simplicity of the lifestyle is something that is,
That's what's good about
This
tea.
is good about
as
it.
opposed
I mean-
to juicing, it's like 20 minutes for juice, 5 minutes for tea.
yeah, we've hand fed it, we've put it in powders to put on your salads. I mean, it's the integration into your lifestyle. I mean, for me, and my compassion goes out. It's like I needed an interceptor. I was 30 pounds heavier. I was like, I need to lose weight. My 3-year-old child's running circles around me. How do I, catch up with him? My back hurts, my neck hurts. But I didn't have, it's like, oh, it's easy to say go on a diet. It's easy to say lose weight. But you're being surrounded by Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's like, how do you go on, what's going to support you, right? And all of a sudden, there's this interceptor in my life. For me, it was a little herb garden that I had moved into, a place down close by here that had an herb garden, and I went down to the herb garden and I just was harvesting 3 or 4 different herbs: tulsi, lemon balm, mint. Mint's a great one if anyone
yeah.
get fresh mint.
Sage
And sage.
rosemary was in
Yep.
there.
And I would just put it in the pot and warm it up and drink it. And it was that simplicity of that lifestyle that I needed as an interceptor, that wasn't so complicated, didn't take me, so much money, and it wasn't so difficult to actually pull off. It was very simple. And the simplicity is then narrated through my entire lifestyle, right? Because once, if you're going to diet, and your diet requires driving here and driving there and and picking this up and preparing this and spending 2 hours doing this, well, now you've complicated your lifestyle. So it's like, can you intercept or support this new lifestyle with a simple solution to get it started? And again, that was my interceptor. I just want to touch on the chast over here because it's in flower and it's glorious. This is our hormone balancing herb, Vitex agnus castus, otherwise known as.
Bees are loving on her right now. Check that out. Look at that bee. She's like, yes, thank you very much. So I know a lot of people are waiting on this beautiful plant to do her thing. She's in flower right now and about to start to turn to berry. So each one of these flowers is going to become a cluster of some of the most fertile hormone balancing berries that you can possibly get on the planet. I have a strong affection for this plant. This plant has been my saving grace personally, as a mother of 3 and somebody that really wanted to get regular and balance my hormones back out. This plant has taught me so much, like tenfold, about how my estrogen and my progesterone levels are going to come back into balance. And so for anyone who's experienced, like I have, excruciating migraines around the moon cycle, heavy bleeding, or PMS, erratic mood swings, anything like that, you should really get familiar with this plant. This is the Vitex agnus castus plant, also known as chaste or chast.
So for thousands of years in India, Ayurvedic medicine, this plant's been used to balance hormones. It's used from naturopaths will prescribe this plant, but you look at our testimonials, we grow it, and this is a good example of the difference between what we do here and what you can get elsewhere. There's just an amazing shift in the potency and the love that goes into what we do here, and we see it in our testimonials, and that's probably only a little bit of it because we received so much feedback on our women's wellness and our chast tincture as well, and their ability to help balance hormones. For men, it's renowned as the monk medicine, so you can infer between the two. The other things it's doing, as I mentioned, these plants aren't magic, they're helping your lifestyle. So for me, as someone that uses the women's wellness and uses the chast plant, helping balance those urges out is what then balances your hormones. So for example, like your testosterone for a man, you know, letting all your testosterone out, there's ways to do it. One would be a temper tantrum, right? That'd be a good way to just let a bunch of testosterone go. You know, kind of putting you in tune with that, putting you in tune with those urges to let that testosterone go and have that temper tantrum. Or you kind of rescind and kind of get in tune with it and realize if I hold that testosterone, maybe I won't be so exhausted after this temper tantrum that you've been doing since you were a child, or my anxiety. So it really helps, again, with those urges. And again, they call it the monk medicine. So in my opinion, it's a very sobering herb. So it can sober your rest, so it makes you kind of go to sleep earlier. You got to stay in tune with it, not take too much of it because of the sobering qualities of it. You don't want to go too fast. Sobering on the technology, right? So if you, like for me, I have issues with later in the day or early, evening technology in my life. I try and, when I'm doing too much of it, I'll go to this plant and it'll distance myself from the technology. Again, sobering in a big way, and again, helping you with those urges. And those urges, immediately you think ice cream, right? But those urges are all over the place, and we all know them. It can be getting in the car. It could be an urge that you have that's not healthy for you. So this plant, again, puts you in tune with those urges.
And then on that note, just to piggyback on that for a minute, is the essence of quenching those desires. So it's not just the urges, it's also like whether it be sexual device, like desires, or vices, like, oh, I have to have that chocolate bar right now, or if you want to reach for that alcohol beverage, but you know that it's feeding into an addiction, smoking. If you want to curb a habit in your life, this is a very, like Doug said, it's a very sobering plant that will help to curb that craving. So just something to think about. I know that we have this in our women's wellness. I like to say woman as well, because it does help men as well. So, but it will lower testosterone levels. So that's something that men should know before they consume it.
All right, let's keep rolling through.
And I should share with you, just so everyone knows, this is not going to probably be available for at least another month or two, because we're going to let her go to flower and then to berry. Then we harvest her, and then we cure her slowly in our solar dehydrators at low temperature. So it will be a little bit of time. She's well worth the wait. But we're really happy to be able to have this plant in abundance on the farm and be able to share this with everybody. Super awesome. Plant.
So just pointing out some lemon balm, which
Here's
is
some of that Krishna tulsi.
having a hard time in the heat. There's tulsi scattered throughout. A lot of different types of mint, chocolate mint, peppermint, garden mint, and then there's mulberry, which is a big Chinese herb for blood cleansing and blood health. It's in our vitality.
Just real quick, since we were talking about weight loss, this is an excellent place to just share. So the mulberry leaf is amazing at balancing blood sugar levels in the body. So balancing that glucose out in the body is really, really critical, because it then allows the body to detoxify and to be able to shed the unnecessary.
Where's the mulberry?
So, we harvested it.
I know, but where is what formulas?
Oh, I'm sorry. So this would be a great one. It would be the Vitality. So this is if you're prone to diabetes in your family, you're pre-diabetic, or you have diabetes. That would be a great blend for you. If you're trying to lose weight or manage your weight level, plants like the mulberry leaf, the yacon, which is also in that Vitality, that Vitality blend would be essential for your daily diet to help with that, to help exacerbate and allow you to alkalize and balance your blood sugar levels to lose weight.
Cool.
So so just moving through, you can see the chas in all its glory over here. We probably have 20 chas trees on the farm. We've done a lot more Mediterranean herbs. Typically we try and go with what Mama Kauai is telling us. The Mediterranean herbs are a little more difficult to grow here because of the amount of water we get. But we've created these beds in order to.
What's that one?
That's clary sage.
Oh, okay.
And we've created these beds in order to drain the
Yeah.
herbs and give them more aeration.
Right.
So we have thyme and clary sage and regular sage, garden sage and parsley. Remember, these herbs during Roman times and Greek times, the most powerful empires on the planet at that time had their choice of different plants. This is what they used for everything from religious ceremony to life, birth and death, but also by their nightstands. These were of the ginger, turmeric, allspice of Indonesia. These were of the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And I can't speak highly enough about the potency of these herbs. Herbs like rosemary that grow, and lavender. I mean, they're such precious herbs, and if we learned how to use them on a regular basis, our awareness and our clarity would just rise. I mean, I was just in Southern California. The amount of rosemary they have there and lavender growing, wild.
Like wild weeds everywhere.
But no one. But where do you see the medicine of it? Yes, it's out there, but can we harness the medicine? Can we put it in hydrosols? Can we get people better? Those are the things that are going to help with people's breathing and helps with their anxiety. Lavender is so calming. I can't think of anything quite as calming as lavender, and it's growing wild all over Southern California, but people are running to the health food stores or running to the doctors to get other types of depression medicine or other types of, but it's
rosemary, we actually, when we first started,
the happy herb.
We called it the happy herb because we would just make rosemary tea and we'd drink it and we'd be so giddy. It was just like raising our serotonin levels. It really is a feel-good mood elevator herb, and so super. If you're experiencing any kind of depression, or there's all these names that people have, bipolar and all this stuff now. But if you're just feeling like you need a lift, like rosemary, you might want to think about it.
And so, just a quick run through the nursery. We have some chas in here that everything's kind of thinning out in the nursery because it's
This is ready to
summertime.
Go in the
This is a cinnamon.
This is
here.
a Ceylon cinnamon tree, and you can see over here in the distance we also have cinnamon. That's another great one that's in our vitality. This is awesome for helping with managing weight as well, because of the same reason. It does help with balancing sugar levels as well.
And so we do everything by hand here. So this is pretty much our barn, all hand tools, and not much to it. We do bring some machines on to mow, but otherwise it's just shovels and rakes and
This is
not
probably
much.
this is it. Shovels, pitchforks,
This is how it's done.
And so,
loppers. That's
Old
about
school.
It. Old
yeah,
school.
everything's
Watering cans.
fed by hand. Our nursery right now, we have some exciting mamakis going in. This is the
Yay.
Hawaiian nettles. So we're really excited about this. Hopefully it takes and we love it enough that it loves us back. We've had some challenges growing mamaki, drainage issues and
It's
such.
more wild and it likes certain environments.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it doesn't want to be domesticated as much. And so, I mean, whatever it wants, we hope to give it. We're going to try. It's a really powerful
I don't
plant.
think it likes to be alone. So we're gonna, when we think out how this is gonna be planted, I think we're gonna plant it with some sister plants around it as well.
So this is indigenous to Kauai, to the Hawaiian Islands. Really powerful plant for.
This is the Hawaiian nettles. We hope to put this inoculate this eventually into our women's wellness.
And so we're going to
which
actually
would be beautiful.
put some, when we plant this, we're going to put some rocks into the planting hole so that there's more drainage for the roots. We're really going to try and aerate the soil at another level. But really experimentation. I mean, everything that we do here, every gardener, I mean, it's not a science.
Add some extra nitrogen there using plants like pigeon pea, Gliricidia. Those are plants that are going to help to add more nitrogen to the soil. So if you think about the gardens, think about this, all the interchanging, the labyrinth underneath the soil that is the root systems. They're constantly interchanging information. So you always have like your manganese talking to your nitrogen, talking to your magnesium and your iron, and they're all exchanging all that information to each other underground. And that's the diversity. That's what's really playing into the way that things grow here.
So ashwagandha here started. We have some more ashwagandha starts. I don't know if we'll get them all in the ground, but we've done really well so far. We're kind of heading into summer. Planting it in the heart of the summer will be challenging. So let's just head into the tea house real quickly, and then we'll let you all go.
Well, did you want to go to the...
I do, yeah.
You want to see the
I wanted to,
dryers?
yeah, and then I think the girls were doing some work on the back porch, or are they all done? They must be all done.
So we're going to turn off the grinder for a minute so we can get in here.
Smells so good. And then the whole thing just, you guys have seen this before. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
What are you up to?
I was making some, well, doing all the recipes and seeing what we can make, what's coming out of the dehydrators.
Oh, the math.
Yeah, just doing all the math. Yeah.
The books.
Yep, totally.
And then what's that there? Is that just one particular
I'm making
plant?
some endurance powder. So I'm powdering endurance powder.
Oh, all the different plants together.
Yeah, exactly.
What's in that one?
Endurance powder, it's moringa, bale, ashwagandha, gotu kola, cinnamon, allspice, pennywort, ginger, turmeric, all kinds of good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, have fun, guys.
Still rolling.
Still rolling.
We want to call it good?
No, we're good. Keep going. Do you want to check out the dryers, or do you want to go up to the tea?
Just show them the dryers real quick.
Okay.
And then I think we gave them a lot of good stuff. I mean, it could go on forever. Might have to do another one.
Stevia here. This is the stevia that was just harvested, so this will go in the children's wellness. Really sweet. We use it to sweeten the buzz chew and the children's wellness.
Mm-hmm. Plant candy.
A little more lemon balm, more mulberry.
Oh.
This is kind of our next stage of plantings. We have some sugarcane here.
Praise the Lord.
And some more ashwagandha beds back there. Some spinach that we're growing basically for our vermiculture. So all that spinach that's growing over there, those 7 or 8 plants, that was a big mango tree that we recently took down, and we've put belly spinach in there to feed the worms. We put some bananas back there. We are learning that we need a little more potassium in the soil. So we planted these bananas again to feed the soil. So we'll harvest those bananas and put them back into the ground. So basically this is our fertility zone. We're thinking of this as a place where we can grow some more fertility plants that will help us feed the gardens. If we come back here, this is our catchment system that we have in order to feed the gardens as well. So we're using rain catchment in most instances.
Right down into there. Pop. And using that with the water buckets.
Yep.
And then this is the old school processing. That's the processed food. That's how processed that is, by hand. and all a bunch of shy ladies over there.
They're not shy.
They're not shy. They don't want to get on YouTube.
So what else do we have?
Wow, dude, it's blowing up, son.
We
Damn. Oh, the
these
solar
are
dehydrators.
Our solar dehydrators back here. So we use these to
Old school.
basically collect the sun's energy and use it to dry the herbs inside. There's closets inside each of these with
Maybe we'll
racks.
go in there and just show that real quick.
So basically these are
Lemongrass.
vetiver. Vetiver. This is where it kind of slopes here, and there's a stream back there, and we put this in. The vetiver actually grows roots that
these ones.
Yeah, they call it like almost like plant rebar. So it holds soil. So we're seeing this.
Aren't you doing something with vetiver too?
Well, it's extremely anti
everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it'll fend off a
Love
lot.
me some vetiver, baby.
Yeah. So, but what we've done here is to hold the ground in place. So that's what it's for. It's to stabilize the soil because we're losing land.
Because the river is always
so we put this in. We installed this in the last 3 months.
Awesome, dude.
This is our root washing station. And let's see, we'll just show you one of the dryers here, like this one better. I think it's mostly Tulsi, there's nothing in it. Hold on, bear with me. So we'll be filling the dryers with these racks, and that's why there's nothing in that one. Let's see, so this is all moringa. So this entire dehydrator. So you saw those solar panels outside, and now you come inside and they're all filled. Each solar panel has these racks, and it's collecting heat. And in times of the summer times with high heat right now, we're curing these extremely quickly. So we're 1 or 2 days, especially with a plant like moringa that doesn't hold a lot of water. It might be just 1 day.
Wow.
Still, in most cases, it's like 80% water in the plants.
Yeah.
So we're basically, our goal is not to heat the plant, but rather to dehydrate the plant, right? So we're trying, so in this instance, the water is evaporating through there's little chambers. This is the attic. And the heat comes in and has nowhere to go. It creates kind of a tornado effect, and the water evaporates out of the chimney. This is some thyme that was harvested this morning by our gardeners.
Beautiful.
And this will go into the savory blend, and some cranberry hibiscus.
Nice.
This is where we make all of our salves here. All day long we're moving herbs in and out of the dehydrators. And then we're making our hydrosols on this station here.
Yeah.
So the sprays that are the steam distillations.
Awesome, dude. You guys are doing it, man. Doing it, dude.
And just one more plant to point out is our noni. This is the plant that kind of got us started. We called it the truth serum when we were making tea with this leaf. Most people, it's renowned for the fruit. We use the leaf in our teas. It's in our purity, it's in our wellness, it's in our vitality. It's also in our salves. This is the all everything plants. Probably if there was one plant we could not live without on this farm, this would be it. We use it externally, we use it internally to fight off disease, to strengthen, to create immune systems. It's a Polynesian super herb, certainly a tropical plant. Certainly anti-cancer, antifungal, it will cleanse like no other. And again, you can find it in a big way, and that purity, wellness, and vitality. Really a beautiful leaf. Here's a prettier leaf than the one you got. So this one they just clip off, and you could also warm the leaf and use it as like a poultice, and it will extract toxins out of the body. Loves the sun, very hardy, can grow pretty much anywhere on Kauai, and you'll see it in the jungle. It's the plant that we first started harvesting when we first got to Kauai. It was growing everywhere. We were amazed by its abundance and its potency. So we used it in so many ways to help heal ourselves when we first got here. One of those ways was weight loss.
Because you got chubby?
I was a little chubby from my earlier days in my 20s.
As a money manager? Man.
I did some finance in New York, and the steak and wine dinners certainly added up. So this tea, this herb helped move things through, and I ended up, starting to sweat and starting to go to the bathroom and getting some of my youth back. And this is kind of the first herb, and then I mentioned the Tulsi or the holy basil after that, and then turmeric and ginger, and those are the foundation of this place. The noni, the Tulsi, the ginger, the turmeric, the lemongrass. Those are herbs used throughout the world. This is not anything new that we're creating here. Ideally, we're just, getting the support of people in order to use what they've been using all around the world. And we're bringing it,
Keeping it alive,
growing it,
the awareness
celebrating
of true
it.
medicine, because the herbal medicine, which was at the turn of the 19th century, the late 1800s, herbology was the #1 source of healing medicine until the Rockefeller took over, pushed out all other forms of medicine other than allopathic drugs and surgery. And now that's all we have, and it doesn't work.
I mean, even now, you know, those medicines are, the active ingredients are plants. I mean, I hear the idea that, you know, they make it in the lab and they, you know, what do they make? I mean, you can't add opium is opium.
They extract one thing
They
to
can't
patent
copy
it.
the
Yeah.
opium. Just like we can't copy the lemongrass. I mean, I don't care how smart they are. There's no way you're copying the opium. So we're off the topic here. But the point being that
Basically, we're all getting scammed, and God grew the plants, so get your
hopefully
mind
get
right.
back to nature and simplicity.
Yes.
And plants.
Amen.
And yeah, I mean, we're certainly grateful for being here and grateful for you know, all your support throughout the years. And it was 4 years ago that you were here, the summer.
I'd sit right over there and
Yeah,
make
so it
videos.
was this month, June. is
Yeah,
when you
4 years
moved,
ago.
when you
Yep.
kind of came here and spent some months here and learned this place.
This is our 4-year anniversary video. You guys have made a lot of changes, and you've grown a lot too in your knowledge and experience. So that must have been, how long is an average tour when people
It's about
come?
an hour, an average tour. So it's about what we just did. We spent a little more time in the tea
Yeah.
house.
Well, no, we spent a little more time in the garden, I think. We're
usually-
we're at about coming up on an hour and 10.
Yeah, the tours.
So is that
all
about
in are
average?
About,
Yeah, we
about
usually
2
spend more time in
hours
the tea
all
house
in though. 'Cause
Oh,
we do
okay.
a tea tasting
at the beginning.
at the beginning, so we do have.
So you try to do a tea tour in an hour or maybe a little
Yeah,
more?
we do like a 20-minute tea tasting at the beginning, and then we tour the gardens. Then we spend a little more time in the tea house than you spent with some more tutorials from our herbalists, which we can do at another
And
time.
people pay you good money for that, and you guys just gave it all away for free. That's awesome. Y'all just got a free tour
Yeah,
here.
we're grateful for all your support. So, you know, education.
Dan the smartass.
The education. The education's not out there. You know, that's what needs
It
to
is
happen.
now, baby.
No, it is now. So, you know, the lavender, the rosemary, the stuff that we can do, it's also empowering. You know, I mean, there's so much that we can't do that we try and do, but this is something we can do. We can do for ourselves. We can grow it. We can plant it. We can support people doing it. There's got to be local pharmacies near you. There's people doing it. I guarantee you, there's people.
If you look, you
if
will
look,
find.
you will find people doing it.
And if you can't find that person, it's most likely because you are that person already. So you probably have it in your backyard. You're probably
Build some
already
boxes.
doing it.
Yeah, grow the mint. You know, the
can
mint
do
grows and drink it. You know, that in
So do
Morocco.
so many other herbs.
Yeah.
I've had great luck with herbs and gardens in all different types of environments.
So yeah, it's all about that information, that education, experience, and
We didn't
as you
have
experience.
that growing up. We didn't have this available to us. We didn't have the plans, but we didn't even have the information or the wherewithal to even ask the questions to get us out of this box mindset. We had such a deep-rooted conditioning and what it meant to, what medicine was. And like medicine was something that was supposed to fix you when you were broken. But at the end of the day, what I think these herbs have actually taught us is that you're not supposed to break. You're not supposed to be broken in a vulnerable situation to be fixed. You're supposed to be using this energy and exchanging the energy, I should say, not using it, exchanging it, like giving back to the land and the land giving back to you. And then that creates this like balance, and it's all about balance, and then being able to prevent those breakages from happening, those blockages, those ailments, those diseases, dis-eases, discomforts from happening in the first place. So we didn't have that available to us, and I'm pretty sure that our children are going to be breaking that, or we're going to be decoding that in our lineage with our upbringing of our children, because I really want for them to have this information available to them so that they can heal themselves or prevent that situation from happening and becoming vulnerable when you're in your most needing of, you know, health. And so that has been a shortcoming in our life so far. So our goal is, and this is a great example of just sharing the information that we've learned. We don't know everything there's to know, and we never will, because everyone's individual. So whoever is the receiver of the herbs is going to be their best information source of how to use them, how to integrate them, and what that's going to mean for their own healing practice. What we can do is grow what we can and create healing modalities that can help support that process. But really, at the end of the day, it's about informing yourself, like knowing your farmer, knowing your food source, really just learning the basics of like good solid night's sleep, nutrition, rest, and hydration. And that's, I mean, really at the end of the day, it's about those three things. And I think that's what we're trying to do here, is provide that information that we have been blessed with in the recent
Why don't you share what's new? I know you
What's
guys have some new stuff.
We do have a few new things, I think, since you, let's see. I do have, we have a line of herbal infused honeys now.
That's going to be...
So this is really quite exciting for us because we have a bee colony now, and they're blessing us with antibiotic honey, and then we're infusing them with ginger root, turmeric root, and now we have cardamom, which
This is the
I don't
only
think
place-
was seeded. It wasn't in bloom when you were here last, I think.
No.
This is the only place you'll find our cardamom is in this honey. My experience with cardamom is it's renowned for body temperature regulation. So in other words, allows you to stay cool in hot places and warm up in cold places. So almost like a cold-blooded it is, right?
So this is our turmeric honey.
Just turmeric and honey, baby.
Turmeric honey. Now,
Yeah.
this is an awesome example of a healing modality. Whatever you want to put in your lifestyle, I'll use this on my face, you know, just even as a facial cleanser. But you can eat it, you can put it into foods, you can glaze foods with it, you can put it into smoothies. So here's one of those. I think this is a great gateway, like kind of product for people that aren't into herbs. Maybe won't like the taste of a bitter turmeric. And so what we'll do is we'll put it into an herbal infused honey, and that will help them to get it introduced to their palate, introduced to their system, and then maybe take the next leap into teas and something a little bit more.
So just to move through these kind of fluidly, this is our Healing Beauty Balm. This is helpful for cuts, any kind of eczema, but also has that noni in it, so it's going to help with any kind of muscle pain, if you will.
I brought this out because I thought this was cool because we talked about Tulsi as a topical as well.
So this is a salve with Kauai beeswax and some coconut oil. This is our turmeric powder, just straight orange.
There's
Pow
that
pow.
curcumin, that pigment right there,
So
packed with
again,
antioxidants.
using this, sprinkling it on your foods, putting it in your smoothie.
If you just put this in your food every single day, or like put it in your smoothie, you just get a little bit of it in each little bit of your meal. I mean, your circulation, your inflammation, everything's going to start to come into balance. This is super potent. We have two varieties of turmeric that we grow here. One is the curcuma longa, and one is the curcuma domestica. That's the Hawaiian variety. So we have the Indian variety and the Hawaiian variety, and it's just very, very smooth. This is a smooth powder. And we do have turmeric. If you're not just digging on just the solo turmeric, the curry and you like a little heat, we have the Hawaiian nioi, which is the chili pepper. In this blend, this also has the ginger in it as well, the kaffir lime leaf,
So you can just do a pinch of this.
lemongrass.
You know, I tell the people, say how much, how much do I brew for my tea? How much do I put in my food? I like to say to taste. You know, you're the doctor, you're the healer, you're the chef. So really, what's to taste is typically the right amount of medicine. If you know, don't try.
Doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. That's right.
But that doesn't mean I don't do much.
And then just going into some of our teas.
Nice and spicy.
I like spice too. So our Tranquility, this is our anti-anxiety, antidepressive, depression medicine. Also helps for any sleep issues you may have. And then we have a lilikoi tincture that's really potent. This is just the lilikoi flower. This is going to be more potent.
Right.
Anyone that has major sleep issues, you know, it's just clean and helps really restoration. Really amazing stuff. You can check our
This
our
is the
testimonials on
Passiflora
Website
quadrangularis.
also has tons of info.
Yeah,
Guys
info
forgot
and
to say that.
testimonials too, to see people's experience with them. This tea has lemon balm. Let's see what else is in here. Pineapple sage, mint, vervain, clary sage, and tarragon. And then moving through, we mentioned this for weight loss, the vitality, that mulberry leaf. Also has some noni leaf. This is our big
I'll go
circulation herb.
Tulsi at the base again.
So
But that's our vitality.
big circulation tea. Really
Yeah.
great for a morning tea, wake up tea.
It's very robust.
Very robust, very earthy.
Yes.
Has the most of all of our teas. That has the most turmeric in it. It's
Yeah.
like 20% turmeric.
It's a great herbal blend to get started on your journey. I think this is it's a lovely tea. You can drink it in the morning first thing. Has an amazing array of adaptogenic herbs, gentle detoxifying herbs, alkalizing herbs in here. So this is a circulatory blend. I would definitely recommend not drinking this very close to bedtime. I should mention that we don't have anything that's caffeinated here. This is all herbal. It's all naturally decaffeinated. But because of the noni leaf, it's so circulatory that it will pump more oxygen-rich blood to your vital organs. It'll make you feel more alert, make you feel more awake. So as a result, preferably in the earlier morning to afternoon, and then probably not so much near bedtime. But that's when this guy will kick in.
Yeah.
And I also recommend if you're
Yin and
trying to
yang.
get a restorative night's sleep, maybe drinking this an hour before so you can relieve your bladder so you don't wake up in the middle of the night, which would defeat the whole purpose of a restorative sleep because tea will make you go. But fantastic blend. And I don't know if you mentioned that this is a nervine that's going to also help with pain relief. It's a muscle relaxer, but in micro, doesn't have the side effects that a major drug company might have on theirs. But this is just something that there's a laundry list there. If I went in there, it would be,
That's one of
it'd be
them.
a really, really long
Heal your
video.
toenail fungus.
But that Passiflora quadrangularis, that passion flower that we talked about, is super effective in this blend. Really love this. This is a lovely evening tea, and it's probably one of our most tasty teas. If I
Yeah.
should
So
say.
No
a
doubt.
tin of tea, 20-ish to 25 servings. If it's a teaspoon per cup. We sell our tea for $20 to $25. That's about $1 a serving. When I tell people, it's more about, it's not about how many cups it makes or how many servings it makes. It's more about the medicine and kind of your experience and what it does for you.
And your own self-guided judgment on how much.
And
Right.
yeah, and that awareness and awakening, and also understanding just the commitment of $25. Honestly, it's a start, but and every cup of tea matters. But it's given what we do here, it kind of needs a commitment of several months. Of just like if you're doing sit-ups, if you're trying to get some six pack.
Go from 1-pack to 6-pack.
Yeah, you're not going to do it in a day, and you're not going to do it in a week. So several months of commitment is kind of what it takes to really feel it. And hopefully you'll see the economics of your life and your lifestyle and your diet all shift. Your relationships, all those things kind of get cleaner and rise up and throw out a higher frequency. So
Thank
I
you
would
so
say
much
thank you,
for
yeah.
sharing time with us here at Koi Pharmacy with Dan.
Yeah.
And we
Thank
are
you guys so much
happy
It was-
that you have
for
joined
taking the
us.
time to really educate today. A lot longer than I thought, but you guys had so much great stuff to share.
And don't
So
worry if you don't remember anything that we just talked about. All the information's on our website. We have a lot of stuff on the individual herbs. You can look at it, and we also have more information on all the blends and the character traits. So
and if anything's out of stock, there's somewhere they can sign up for the email.
they can throw their email on it,
True.
and then seasonally it'll come back. So like in the case of the women's wellness, I would say August is when it'll be ready. We'll be able to harvest the berry.
there's a little green tab on the top right of every product page. It says email when available if it's out of stock, and you just click on it. And then as soon as our herbalists put it back into stock, we'll shoot you an email, and then you'll know that it's available.
But it
again.
does go in and out. That's just the nature of what we do.
Awesome. Thank you guys so
Alhamdulillah.
much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much.
We're gonna end with this. I love this right here. This is, you guys coined this, right?
Organic.
We were told we couldn't use the word organic if we weren't certified.
This is more than organic.
Didn't
Thanks
want to be
guys
certified.
for all your support and love and comments and thumbs up, and tell Doug and Jenna how much you appreciate them. Aloha.